Professor John Zachariah, esteemed faculty members, delegates, ladies and gentlemen. Let me first congratulate you for organizing what I'm sure will be a spectacular MUN. I mean, I just listened to Rahel, what you said, what was said earlier, and it is really inspiring, I have to say inspiring, for us at the UN to know how young people are thinking, what they're thinking about, and the broad-mindedness of what you will say and do here. And really, we think this is the kind of hopefulness, the optimism that we at the UN look for and seek in young people today. So thank you again. Youth outreach is a very important part of the work of the UN Information Center. Where I work, we work with schools, with universities, youth associations, other youth groups, volunteers, to draw attention to UN priorities and values. We seek views and opinions, and we try to ensure that the voices of young people like yourselves are heard. Because let's face it, it is you who will inherit the gigantic task of resolving some of the challenges the world faces today. Climate change, conflict, urbanization, the lack of decent work, and all the attendant ills that go with it. The availability of basic services such as water, health, education, and the large-scale issues that we already see arising. Refugees fleeing conflict and even climate change, internally displaced people, the destruction of heritage, the breakdown of communities, the unraveling of entire countries. It is almost unfair, I think, Professor Zachariah, you will agree, that the young people of today must not only bear the brunt of these challenges, but we also call upon them to ask them to resolve these challenges. But there you have it. Nobody said it would be easy. But we have faith, as I said, in your energy, your enthusiasm, your commitment, and your ability to access vast amounts of information. And I will come back to this point later. This is something that previous generations didn't have, and this is a great power, and it also has its flip side, which, as I said, I will talk about later. I just hope you will make good use of this. And I think model UNs are an excellent platform for young people to get together and discuss issues of global concern. It is heartening to see young people take an interest in the way the world works. In fact, there are so many MUNs happening now that it is hard for us to keep track. And again, I'm delighted that we have this going in Bangalore. There are two things I want to talk to you about today. And both springs from questions we are asked at the UN by young people like you. I do a number of orientations and information sessions for young people, students from across the country, students of law, politics, even school students. And these are the questions that invariably come up. So here goes the first question. Is the UN still relevant? I'm sure you have that question coming up quite often. Not an easy one to answer, because as with any large system or organization, there are flaws. And here we're talking about, 193 odd countries, their individual priorities, their national interests, their peculiar preoccupations. Getting them to agree, imagine that. Many of you are experienced MUNers, and you know that this will all begin once you start going into your committees. Battle lines will be drawn, you will fight your corner, and also try to get others onto your side. But you know why you are there in the first place. It's because you believe that there are challenges that cannot be tackled by countries individually. Many issues transcend borders: climate change, terrorism, human trafficking, drug trafficking, ethnic cleansing, economic crises. And in an ever more interconnected world, we cannot sit tight and imagine that this is someone else's problem. This is a problem for all of us to tackle jointly. And I think that is what the UN does and where its USP lies. It brings countries together, it gives them a platform for dialogue and discussion. It helps prevent a problem from becoming a full-blown crisis. And when a crisis does erupt, it helps mitigate it. A professor of mine used to put it this way. 50 years ago, he said, nobody would have imagined that the UN would survive, let alone do any good. But look at us now. Not only does it survive, it is called upon to do more and more. And it doesn't just have to do with conflicts and crises. UN brokered negotiations and peacekeeping missions across the globe. Think about the international norms, the standards, the vast expansion of international law, the standards that countries agree to for their common good. Think about the human development reports, the transfer of technology and knowledge for development, the global surveys on economic and social issues, the protection of cultural heritage, and the studies on agriculture, disasters, and the environment. So is the UN relevant? I think it is indispensable. Yes, many of its systems are in need of repair or reform, and often, in spite of its best efforts, it fails. But as a global platform for countries to work together constructively, the UN is a success story, and we all have a stake in its success and failures. Which brings me to the second question that we often get asked by young people, which is what can we do to contribute, play a part in this vast, amazing project that is the United Nations? If we are stakeholders, what are we supposed to do? The answer is, and I think Rahil, you touched upon this, play your role as informed, concerned citizens. Remember that all that takes place at the UN, at that high table, all those impressive-looking conferences, must filter down to our countries, to our cities and our neighborhoods. What do countries say and promise at that high table? How do they give effect to those pledges and promises? Are they reflected in laws, policies, and actions on the ground? As citizens, we can test and assess these issues, analyze them, find the gaps, bring them to the attention of legislators and policymakers. And how can you work proactively on the ground to give effect to the values of the United Nations? I think it is again useful to look at these challenges from the prism of peace, development, and human rights, the three pillars of the UN. Volunteer to help an underprivileged student, join an environment campaign, stand up in protest, and I think this is extremely important more and more when someone uses hate speech. Try to understand and respect differences, not just tolerate them. And when someone makes a racist or a sexist comment, tell them and others that this is just not on. Coming back to something I mentioned earlier, the access to vast amounts of information that you have at your disposal now. I think the flip side of technology is that it has become so much easier to spread hate, to reinforce differences, to reassert extreme identities, to pass off opinion and prejudice as facts or as history. It has become so easy to judge, to stereotype, to demonize. My hope is that you will guard against all of this, against this easy, hateful labeling of people, that through your experiences, such as this Model UN conference, you will realize the importance of defending and preserving our common humanity. So I would suggest, and this is something I like to say at almost all the conferences I go to, look for nuances, look for complexities, because nothing is ever that simple. If it does seem simple, it probably isn't. Read well-researched material. Please rely on the documents that already exist, that have been used as a basis for a lot of the action by the UN. Look at resolutions, decisions. It is very important when you try to convince a country to measure up to a particular standard, unless you refer to past precedents. I also know that you need to think out of the box. You need to have fresh perspectives, and all that is important. But how do you use that to convince states, member states, to do what it is that you're proposing? And I think the answer is to keep referring to past precedents, remind them of the promises they've made, of the values that are embedded in the UN Charter, to remind them that this is for the purpose of preserving our common humanity. I have no doubt that you will go on, not just during this MUN, but during your careers and your lives, you will stand up for some of these values, which is why you are here and you are so committed to them. Please don't stop asking questions. That is my final spiel. Respectfully question your teachers, your parents, your peers, the opinions that you see flying around. Please question what is thrown at you by the media, by the newspapers, by television. As I said, it is never that simple, and you will always have information being thrown at you that seems simple. Please read between the lines. Look at what is not being told to you. Please do your research very carefully. Sift through the information you have. Look for facts, and don't get swayed by all those extremist views out there. You will find a ton of videos on YouTube that will reinforce your prejudices and your stereotypes. And know that you will find something that will buttress your own opinion. But please don't get swayed by it. Please look further. Try to listen to a variety of voices. And I know that through that, you will find your own voice. Thank you again for your attention. Thank you.